So the one idea I would like to convey to you today is that artists are essential to the full realization of a city's potential. So I'm going to do this by using my project, Bright Lights, Big City, as an example of how this works. And I want to focus specifically on the context of Toronto's Nuit Blanche event, which is where the piece was originally commissioned. So here is a little sample of the project before we get started. So Bright Lights, Big City is an extremely simple artistic concept. It uses the power of radio and the lights of the CN Tower to create a sound and light show that would unite the city of Toronto during its incredible Nuit Blanche art party. This was a really unique opportunity to create an artwork for the tallest freestanding structure in the world, and it was a really true privilege and an awesome experience. I would also like to, just right off the top, thank the special thanks to the people of the CN Tower, sort of for their support and vision in allowing me to be the first artist to access this system. And it was, obviously driven a little bit extra further home with in Joey's talk, where you see the CN Tower as one of those iconographies that is Canada. It was daunting to sort of tackle this idea and bring it to fruition. I want to talk about the three elements that I really think made this project a success in my mind. One is the transformative power of Nuit Blanche. 2 is the accessibility of community radio. And 3 is the intervention by artists in public spaces. I want to start by talking about Nuit Blanche first. For those of you who are not familiar with Nuit Blanche, it's entering its 5th year in Toronto. And its tagline as an all-night contemporary art thing sums it up as a citywide event that almost escapes definition. Modeled after the Paris Nuit Blanche, so the translation for the Anglophones is all-nighter. And the event mixes unique one-time installations in public spaces and hundreds of galleries who open their doors from sundown to sunrise for the city, all for free. 2009 involved large-scale lighting installations inside Massey Hall, large-scale lighting installations at City Hall, carnival rides on Bay Street, and a giant people-powered musical instrument inside Massey Hall, and countless other locations, including, of course, the CN Tower. There really is nothing else like Nuit Blanche in Canada, and possibly North America, I think. With audiences that estimate to reach over 1 million people, the core of the city is transformed into a giant contemporary art experience. The general public is left questioning their perception of everything in their environment, and they're sort of wandering, open to the experience, and every out-of-place street sign, every lonely security guard raises the question, is that part of the art? So with this context, Nuit Blanche, it really creates a situation where, whoops, too far. There we are. So Nuit Blanche creates a situation where people of the city are ready to connect with artists and their creation. And the city, with, of course, the support of Scotiabank, encourages artists to creatively reimagine public space. This is really the goal, this is the stated goal of the municipal government, to cultivate a creative city, a playful city. So it's in this context that our proposal for this project was accepted. And it's really doubtful, without the context of Nuit Blanche, that we would have been able to make the connection with the CN Tower. So it's the curators and the staff at the city and who had the vision to really support the project and put their weight behind it and bring it to the CN Tower and facilitate that connection. The CN Tower, I'll talk a little bit about the 2 elements that make the project together, what it was. This sort of iconic architecture underwent a massive multi-million-dollar upgrade, for those of you who haven't been down to Toronto or heard about the LED project. It was launched in 2007, and basically they created a sort of giant, sophisticated lighting instrument. For the tower, this was an opportunity to reinvigorate the public perception of the structure And it was really successful. It re-injected the tower into the public space. And of course, that left the opportunity for artists to start thinking about how would they re-envision this, how would they get to use this system if they could. So what sparked our interest about the tower and seeing it in its glory was the idea of VJing the CN Tower, using this cutting-edge lighting system to unite the city in a festive celebration. So what we proposed was an artwork that was decidedly non-interactive or participatory. It was about making specific creative decisions in a composition of an original large-scale audiovisual work. I think that this sort of artistic approach was a key component of the success of the project. And it was really nice to be after these two sort of musical-focused talks where it really drives home to me the power of composition, the power of making these specific creative decisions about creating an artwork. And for me, I've approached video and visual stuff in the same way. I've been really heavily influenced by musicians and the way you think of composition. So, of course, that being said, I really am as guilty, probably as many of you here are, of a serious techno-fetishism, and extremely excited about all the potential of every plethora of network technologies, and they're constantly emerging and constantly changing. But, you know, really, in order for us to make the kind of unifying public audiovisual experience, radio was unbeatable in its reliability, its instantaneousness, and its pervasiveness. Of course, radio is, you know, amazing in terms of accessibility for listeners. Everyone has them in their car, in the restaurants, everywhere. Of course, it's very commercial, so it's largely inaccessible on a commercial level, and this is where the importance of community radio comes in. Without community radio, this project couldn't have happened. The commercial radio stations weren't interested in giving up 12 hours of radio time for an experimental. They weren't, not so much, even if they were interested, they have a structure that they weren't even capable. Whereas the people at CIUT who partnered with the project, you know, the station director, Ken, there instantly saw how this was really, really taking the power of radio to a new level and to an interesting level. And they were from the word go, were right in with the project. So with that kind of intellectual preamble to the ideas of the project, I'd like to show you a short section. What you're going to see is the final section which contained an original score composed by Ottawa duo If Then Do. Interestingly enough, for this project, it was obviously a sort of reuniting of a Toronto icon, but it was a full team of Ottawa people who sort of invaded Toronto and took over the CN Tower, which has all kinds of other Federalist kind of ideas too that I tried not to talk about on the radio. So what we did was we created a 24-minute original score that went with compositions, light compositions, and then there was another section. It was an hour and 7 minutes long, which was created by rising DJ stars, Jokers of the Scene. And so I commissioned them to make a DJ mix, and we made that, and the whole thing would loop over the course of the 12 hours. So there was an hour and a half loop. And so what you're going to see now, if we can turn off the lights, is the sort of 4-minute finale to the If Then Do section. Thank you. So what you see here, the image divided into 4 on the bottom is the music visualization that you saw scrolling across the screen on the bottom of the video. That was what created most of the light show in the hour and a half, and it uses one of the oldest and most fundamental animation techniques, which is to take an image and slide it through one little slit, and you only see a part of it at the same time. So what you have is a 9,000 pixel long image that slides through a 2-pixel slot, which is the elevator shafts and the structure on the top. That little section was, they never thought of ever using the system in that way. So that was one of the innovations that came out of working with the CN Tower and using their instrument basically in a way that they hadn't thought of. Hopefully I'll get the chance to use the instrument again. Who wants to only play a guitar once, right? So what I can't translate in the video is the sort of scale and power of the project. I recorded over 9 hours of HD footage, and it doesn't matter how great an editing job I do, I really can't translate this sort of or replicate any sense of the experience of being able to be anywhere in the city and being able to tune in to this iconic image that was pulsing to this experimental music, basically, from down on the harborfront all the way into Liberty Village, up Yonge Street, all the way around. So for me, the success of the piece, I mean, other than the kind of ego trip it is to see this giant lighting structure happen for you, was afterwards. I saw YouTube videos posted that night from people's cars with the car stereo cranked, and they were filming the pulsating lights. And there were stories of people that came to me who left Nuit Blanche, went back to their apartments, turned off all the lights and cranked up the radio, and sort of re-energized themselves so they could go back out for the rest of the all-night art party. Liberty Village, there was a parking lot where like a whole bunch of cars had gathered, and they made an improvised sound system by all turning up their stereo so the public in that parking lot could experience the piece. So, the power of the pervasiveness and the unity of the project is what really drove it home to me. And even that, beyond that, what was interesting is, in addition to Nuit Blanche, is that for the first time, this great energy that happens in Nuit Blanche, where the city's sort of creative core just explodes, you didn't have to, it's obviously great if you come down, but you didn't have to come down to the core. That creative core was actually spilling out, so you didn't even have to leave your home if you really didn't want to, and you would still get touched by the creativity that was bubbling at the center of the city. So, obviously, the context of Nuit Blanche is unique, and no artist really, I think, realistically expects it to be an everyday occurrence. But its power lies in the belief of artist's vision, and the effect that vision can have on the everyday life of a city, and especially in the long term. So, Nuit Blanche is a massive concentration of the artistic experience into a single night, but it also creates an environment of accessibility and brings the general public and the creative communities that much closer to each other, making the everyday interventions of artists not only welcome but sought after, and in the hopes of something in the future, almost even commonplace. So this inclusion of artists and their vision is, in my opinion, obviously the thing that would make a city fully realize its potential as an idea, that idea of what a city could be. And that's it. Thank you very much.